There, all right. Thank you. This meeting of the Wausau Ethics Board to order. Thank you, Cody. The date is November 11th, 2025, and it's 4:30 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Dexter,
Here.
Hostler,
Here.
DeVos,
Here.
Palmer, Garver.
Here.
And we have Jesse with us as well. All right. I wanted to start by welcoming Thomas Garver. And you've heard all of our names. You've probably seen them on some documents already. Would you mind telling us briefly a little bit about yourself so those of us here who don't know you can get a little sense of how you came to be here?
I'll try to make it brief.
Okay.
I grew up an Army brat, traveled all around, entered the Army as a combat officer, switched into medicine, became an Army orthopedic surgeon, traveled around there, left Germany for a job in the States. It was here. I settled here 22 years ago, worked in the Marshfield system. I retired 3 years ago and felt the calling of civic duty.
Well, we're
Right.
glad you did, and we hope you find your time on the Ethics Board rewarding, and you feel that this is a great way to make a contribution to the
I
community.
was thinking we could go around and give our background.
If we can do it quickly, we don't have a lot of time.
Chris, my
Otherwise-
background will take 4
I-
hours and 22 minutes.
I actually have done a little research, so I'm pretty good on that.
Okay,
But thank you.
sure.
And maybe we can spend a little more time chatting at our next meeting.
Well, we could do a basic one. Like,
Okay.
I've been a citizen of Wausau since 1972. That's when I moved in from Madison, and I hate to tell you what state I was born in because Wisconsin people don't like that state. What's the state we don't like? Illinois. Okay, so I'm from Illinois, and I was a professor of philosophy at the UWMC. That's what it was a 2-year school here. I also commuted to Marshfield. There was a Marshfield campus, and I taught philosophy, and I probably have scrambled a lot of brains. That's about it, but it was fun. It was a fun course, and I really liked working here very much.
Anybody else want to chime in? I think we're ready to go ahead, and we'll have some more time to chat later, I'm sure. I have a list of suggested reading, to the extent you haven't already done that, Tom, but I can email that to you as well. All right, sounds good. Then the next item on our agenda is to review the status of the board's efforts to develop recommendations to the Common Council for revisions to Chapter 2.03, the Code of Wausau Municipal Code, the Code of Ethics for Wausau for public officials and employees. I wanted to note that Gary Gisselman had been my member of the city council, my representative on the city council, and
Same with me, yeah.
Doug's as well. And he once told me that he felt it was important that the ethics code be reviewed and tweaked on a regular basis. And I kind of took that to heart. But more importantly, in considering the complaint against Alder Deb Ryan, the board members who participated in that decision really noted that Standard J, as I call it, which is the standard that both of the last two complaints were based on. The way that standard was written back in 2022 when the complaint against Alder Deb Ryan occurred, it was determined that because of the way that standard was worded at that time, it was essentially unenforceable. So that led to the board's efforts to recommend to the Common Council improvements in the code, some of which, including Standard J, were adopted by the council in January of 2024. The last meeting we had on this subject was in November of last year. So I note that our work on this matter was set aside at our February meeting of this year until after the proceedings on the complaint against Mayor Denny were completed. So everything's been set aside, not worked on, but not dropped either as of that time. The board also at that February 2025 meeting did adopt a recusal rule. I've been told that it was approved by the Common Council, which is a requirement of our adopting a rule. Any rule we might adopt is subject to approval of the Common Council. And I've been told that the Common Council did approve it, but they did. Excellent, thank you. That was one thing I wanted to find out today. I think would also be useful to us to review the Common Council's, or rather to review the draft of a resolution that Attorney Jacobson drafted for us and that we received following that last meeting of ours in November of last year. But before proceeding with that, I guess I would like to skip ahead to the question of how we want to proceed with possible recommendations to the Common Council for revisions to the code. We did get to the point of having a draft based on our discussions. Attorney Jacobson drafted a resolution that would provide our recommendations to the Common Council and give the Common Council the opportunity to vote on them. But of course, that didn't make it that far. Now I want to raise the question for the rest of the board, all members of the board, whether, it seems to me we've got two options. If you skip ahead to that discussion of and possible action on how to proceed, it seems like we have two options, two basic options anyway. One is to finalize the existing draft at this time and continue to work on additional recommendations. There are a number of items I have that we didn't get to yet and that I would suggest the board consider. So we could finalize the existing draft at this time, and assuming if it were to pass, it could then go to the Common Council. The other option is leave the discussion and any recommendations to a board meeting following the appointment of new members. I mean, we've got one new member with us today, Tom. Is Tom the right? Tommy? You prefer Tommy? All right. Thank you, Tommy. We've got Tommy here today. We've got two holdover members, Robin and Doug, and I'm assuming that before long there will be two additional new members of the board. So I guess I'd like to get some discussion. I'd like to hear what people think. I'm kind of not sure how I feel about it, but I can see pros and cons on both sides, and I'd like to hear what you think about those two options, which appeals most to you and for what reasons.
Just to aid in the discussion, I do plan on resigning at the end of this year, unless I'm replaced earlier. Whether or not I'm replaced, I will plan on resigning at the end of this year.
All right, thank you. That's good to know. Do you have thoughts on the question of option?
Well, I'm not sure if we're going to get a lot done. So I would have, time before if we met in December to give my thoughts and opinions on it, but then I will be done after that December meeting.
One thing that occurs to me is if we're going to have basically three new members, two plus Tommy, one way to look at it is, why not let them look at what we've done and make their decision along with those members who are still going to be here, like Kay and Jesse. Why not let all the new people on before we actually decide we're going to send something to the Common Council? On the other hand, like I said, I can see both sides of it. We did a lot of work on that. We're close to being done, because we've got a draft resolution already. We've had it for the past year. Why not just finalize that work and send that on to the Common Council? council. Like I said, I think there are going to be additional topics that we're going to want to talk about changing, in part because we've gone through this lengthy and difficult complaint process that we had. And there are things you learn, as the rest of the board members know from that earlier complaint in 2022, things come to light. And so there are additional topics I think that I'd like to see the board address.
And from a personal matter, there was so many drafts that went back and forth that I am presently do not have the final draft clear.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was hoping to see it in the agenda today, just as
I
the,
brought handouts.
okay, good.
We'll need more of those. Oh, yeah, we might be. Doug?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got one?
So we've got that, even if we don't go into it. That
Yeah.
kind of brings us up to date.
Yep, that's refreshes my recollection.
And I think Ann did a great job on that. I found only one typo. And I have a feeling it wasn't you who did that. Standard J, it says no official employee shall, and we're adding, while using his or her, that should be, not his order, his or her official title. So that's on the second
Right.
page. Paragraph J. All right, other thoughts on whether we should move ahead now or wait?
I would like to see us wait. I mean, you all have gone through a pretty extensive experience, and I'm sure that rather than approve this as it is and then in 6 months say, oh, we need to add this based on the most recent experience. So I would propose that we wait.
Want to make that as a motion? Then we can continue discussion if it's seconded.
This is, well,
Jesse, do you have something?
Yeah, I mean, so I think, being that this had been seen through nearly to the end, I think that any changes that might come from a shift in the individuals who are on the committee, it may be beneficial to see this through with the people that have actually been engaged with it. And then if questions come up about it, obviously there can be further discussion afterward. But I think that getting a good set of ordinances in place for the new committee might actually be beneficial, because that was part of the reason we started this process, was to make sure that this was clean, and so it was easily interpreted. So I'm of the opinion that this may be actually better to get in place so that the next ethics board doesn't have to actually go through the same process we did and have to like lengthen that process, where the code stays in disorganized is a strong word, but less than organized fashion.
So you would favor moving ahead now. And I think to the extent that this is very close to completion, this set of proposals, recommendations, that would help. But I will warn you that, I mean, this does deal with Standard J, the controversial Standard J. And I'm going to want to make some further language changes. I don't think it's real difficult to understand, but, you know, there will be more discussion than just saying, okay, let's approve what was put together at our meeting a year ago, and it was put to writing by Attorney Jacobson, if that changes anybody's minds about how to handle this.
I think that if there's going to be even a small number of changes, that might actually further me to think that we may want to wait then, because it may be good to have the input of the new individuals. So I think that if we were very close to completion and we're very comfortable with what we have here, that might be something that we would put into play. But I think if there's a lot to learn from the preceding year, that we may want to revisit this with the new members.
Yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense to me. I think we are very close, but if we're going to be talking about paragraph J again, and some more, then that might take a little more time than what may be available to us today. So we'll probably require at least scheduling a meeting in December. Doug, you have thoughts?
Well, it's offhand, I mean, I guess I like both things. I mean, I like the new people to be able to make a decision, but I like them to know what we've experienced. Because the problem, we haven't gotten to this issue, like, what you say, terms that are staggered. That's another issue.
Oh, yeah.
And that bothered me very much when we first started. Because when we first started, none of us had been on the board. It had not existed for about 6 or 7 years. It didn't even exist. And what I'm used to with committees I've been on, let me tell you, if you're in the university system, you've been on 10,000 committees. But what really helps with every committee is the wisdom of the people that have been on it, know what the problems are, and that we kind of lack. I mean, we had no one to go to. What do we do about this? How has the board acted in the past? We had no clue. And that was really, for me, a big loss. And so I wanted some ways to be able to advise the people that are coming on, this is what we've experienced, but I'm totally happy to let them vote on it. I mean, personally, I really don't care. If people are happy to vote on it, all I can do is give them whatever wisdom I've had, and that's one thing I miss. But on this issue, it's not as much as it is on the whole issue of getting our terms, because we have had proposals, or at least we've been drafting proposals, I think, somewhere, or I've been drafting them, how to reintroduce staggered. I mean, it's like, for instance, making shorter terms. Because if you look at the actual document that the municipal code, it's pretty difficult to read, because when I read it, when I first got on it, it talked about staggered terms, but then the terms weren't staggered. And I thought, well, what is this? It was very strange. And so I think we should do something with an emergency, which is what we faced. The board died. I assume that when the board started, that it started with staggered terms. That's how it started. But once it got going and died, I like that. Didn't it die? It didn't die? I thought it was dead, because I was looking up old minutes. They were six years earlier.
The board never ceased to exist because it exists by ordinance, and that ordinance has never been repealed.
Right.
They just never met
Well, they never
unless
had-
they had a complaint, and they went years without a complaint.
But did they, so the board members were not,
And so then they'd wait until they had a complaint, and then they'd look to see if the members' terms were still current, and if any had expired, they'd contact those members, see if they wanted to be reappointed.
At that
And if
time.
they didn't, then they'd replace them
but that
to
didn't
consider
happen.
the complaint.
See,
And
that's-
then somebody else was keeping track of when they were appointed, how long their terms were for, and they didn't understand the staggering aspect of it. And so everybody ended up with terms expiring at the same time,
Right.
unfortunately.
Well, I need a number of people with the same one. And so do we have any way of correcting that? Because I can't say I enjoyed being on a board where everybody was new, including me.
Right.
It was a little weird. And I thought, okay, that's the way it is. But, so I'm
Well-
wondering, is there a way, see, I thought there might be a way to, what I call an emergency. Would be a different kind of ordinance, that if the board actually, all the terms expire and there's no one there, then there's a way
Yeah.
to reconstitute it so the terms are staggered.
Tommy, you have something to?
I'd suggest I'm maybe the first part of this reconstruction in that my term is not 5 years, it's only 3.
Right. Your term
Right.
was what,
My term is only 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
It's my understanding that.
So I'm part of this.
How did that happen?
I think
I'm
that-
the part of the reconstitution of the appropriate staggering system.
Okay.
I think that the mayor is planning on kind of reestablishing the staggered terms by appointing new members
For a certain term.
for,
Yeah, that would be a very efficient way to do it, yeah.
well, I still think that if you read the the ordinance on composition of the board, that there will need to be some kind of an amendment to that to avoid what I consider to be at least an arguable ambiguity. So it's kind of like a house cleaning thing. I think, I think it's important to get back to staggered terms. I agree with you completely. And I wonder if something you said, I had heard the same thing, that there was a time where one of the mayors just didn't believe we needed to have an ethics board, so he didn't appoint anybody, and that may be what threw things out of whack.
Right.
But I think the current mayor is working on getting that corrected. I think what we need to do will be to follow up, and it doesn't have to be in this very first,
Right. No, I mean, if the current mayor can do that, I'm very happy.
if he can do it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, if the current mayor can legitimately give people shorter terms, I'm not against that at all.
Well, see, that's where the ambiguity comes in, because
Right.
if you read that ordinance, it says
They must,
terms will be for 5 years.
period. Yeah,
So
that
you'd
was the
have,
thing.
I mean, you could make an argument that, well, the terms are for 5 years, but they're only being filled for shorter periods of time. But, I mean, so you can see there's a problem there.
Right, yeah.
It needs to be dealt with, but
But it might work. I mean, if that would be good.
if nobody's objecting
Lot
to these
simpler.
partial terms being
Yeah.
filled by somebody to get back to a properly
Yeah.
staggered,
Okay,
that could work.
good. That's
So-
helpful.
Yeah, so you see, if we start talking about some of these specific issues, we may need more time than what we've got here tonight.
Yeah.
And here's an idea I'll just try out on you guys, and that is that we schedule a meeting for sometime in December, if that's even possible. And maybe I can, we've all got that draft that Ann put together. Maybe I should then send out my thoughts on what should be different about Standard J,
Okay.
so that you'll have a time to a chance to look at them, think about them before the next meeting. We're not going to talk about them before the next meeting, but sometime in December, we meet and we can have an informed discussion about that particular issue. And then perhaps just get this first batch approved to send on to the Common Council. What do you think? Does that sound like a reasonable plan? Because right now, you don't even know what my thoughts are on changing the existing draft of paragraph J.
Just as a point of procedure, just a discussion, being that I now am an alternate, meaning I won't be voting on things unless it's necessary, but I think we did decide previously that not having an alternate engage with the ethics board, you can't really sufficiently be. So essentially, like, as a sitting alternate, the engagement that I'll have is still in the discussion portion of things, but when we vote, unless there's a reason for an individual or an absence of an individual, I won't be voting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure we know where we're at.
That's good. That's good to have that stated, yes.
Okay.
Well, any other thoughts? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, personally, if we're not prepared to move forward even on this, because there's other changes that are going to be proposed, then that makes sense to see those before the December meeting.
well, there could be additional subjects covered for recommendations to the council, but it's not like
Right, yeah, and I get
we have
that.
to cover everything conceivable.
Correct.
We could just deal with what Attorney Jacobson has put together, and then the additional discussion on paragraph J, and then send those on. And then maybe a couple of months later, the board with new members starts talking about other possible recommendations to the council. So,
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, but you're more or less saying, like, if something was prepared for us, or for a vote next meeting, that you'd be prepared to have that discussion pertaining specifically to what edits we're looking at currently. So if there is
Correct.
another version that comes between now and then, that if it was prepared and we could review it, then we could then vote on it next meeting.
Correct.
sure.
And so that Tommy has an opportunity to even review this one that we're looking at today.
and what I'm envisioning is the draft that Attorney Jacobson put together with additional discussion on possible further change to paragraph J, and that's it.
Yeah, and we're limiting,
Yeah.
not going through the whole ordinance again to see if there was anything wonky, for lack of a better word, in just the procedures, how we dealt with the last hearing and things like that. Yeah, that would make sense then, that can be for future meetings if they want to cover that in future.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got a list in my file, and it's not that necessarily people are going to say, oh, yeah, we got to do something about that. But it's, we can revisit the issue.
Yeah.
Because there are other things, like when the annual meeting needs to be held. Does it have to be on the third
Oh, God.
Wednesday or whatever it was?
Sure.
Or could it be any time in January? Make it a little easier to get things scheduled. So there are things like that. They aren't necessarily of of huge importance, but they could
Yeah.
help things function better.
Because that did prove to be a problem. One thing, it was miscounted, what the third Wednesday was. It was actually the fourth Wednesday they were looking at. Third Wednesday was earlier. And so the actual date was earlier. I'm sorry if I'm not talking.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
Right. So it's something that, we'll
Fast.
put it in January, but I thought would be to have, because it probably is a good idea to have it not specified at whatever time. That's too loose.
Right, but I think, not to get off on that topic, but I think that, it doesn't sound like there was an annual meeting held in the past. I think we even missed an annual meeting that we were supposed to have without realizing it. So it is nice to have something on the calendar that at least, who's on the board still? What are we doing here? To have a specific date, and then, of course, the members maybe can change that as well, but.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know that we even need to take a vote if we're going,
If it's just discussion.
something else?
I thought Jesse, I would like to see us make one change as opposed to like every 6 months have a change. And that seems to be a fair amount of perturbation and taking up time. So my recommendation, again, would be if there's changes that are of value, that's not the right word I'm looking for, but let's take a look at this point in time. We can have the new people come in, maybe we can figure out an overlap. But as opposed to going in front of the council every 6 months with, let's think about this, and 6 months later we're coming back, I think I would like to see us bring something total and complete to the best of our knowledge now, get it through, and then live with that, as opposed to little changes along the way. And that would be my thought on that.
We prefer to make it as comprehensive as we can at this time.
Right.
So if I've got a list that has other items, would you like me to prepare something that addresses those additional issues to the extent I can?
Yes.
I would be fine with doing that.
And it might be that the timing is such that we have Robin here and to look at that through the initial, get her input on it too, as well as the new people coming in to also weigh in on what we are proposing.
Okay? All right.
I
Robin
think-
and Doug, sorry.
No,
Robin.
and I think it might be important too, because I know in the past we had talked about not being able to meet unless there was a complaint, and that was a point of contention. I think it's valuable right now if we have kind of the focus on the ethics board to try and stay focused, to see it through, because I know that it's not necessarily easy for this committee to meet outside of its requirements. So that may be another reason to get everything we can completed in one go.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I'll try and,
And I think it's still fine to start that process in December and looking at that, even if there's some of us that will be off and other people on. I don't think that takes away. I think that's just any kind of board.
I agree, right. All right, anything else anybody wants to say on that subject? Okay, so we've already got the point to which we took this a year ago, and I will put together a list of other comments or other topics that I might even have some drafts for you as of the next meeting. And if that sounds okay, unless I'm missing something, then maybe the thing for us to do is start trying to get a meeting scheduled in December. Anybody have times where they're not available, considering it's the holidays?
No idea.
if we're looking at about a month out, is that what we're looking at?
Yeah. Yeah, a month out would be okay. You know, you have to look at your calendar. Right. Yeah.
I'll just throw out dates, December 9th at 4:30? Or 16th at 4:30?
Probably okay.
The 9th works for me. I can also make the 16th work.
That's,
I can do both days.
I can do both.
what's this, 9th?
Tommy?
I'm good with either. I just would recommend giving a big enough window during that meeting so you're sure you could complete the goal of finalizing it. I don't think that, speaking on the other side, I see new members coming in with a respect for all the work that's been put in, and I don't think they try to undermine or take over the work that's already been done for what it's worth. But I'd make the commitment to complete it in December, giving the window, as opposed to today where we have about 14 minutes left.
Right.
So that's all.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd need to ask Cody where we could have that meeting, because I think not having a stopping time would be nice. Because I think in the past, if meetings went a little longer, as long as we had the space that was allotted for that, then we're good to go.
The 9th or 11th you're talking about?
9th or 16th?
9th or 16th? Tuesdays. Oh. Oh, yeah. Well, it's a meeting I have to go to, but I can cancel. It's the Wausau Symphony Board. I think I can live without. Good board, yeah. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
this is
I
not
mean,
working.
I really want new people to be able to.
The 9th
Oh,
doesn't
just
work because both of you are busy in other
pass on
meetings,
what
is
we
that
think. We
correct?
can say, "Oh, we don't care."
Yeah.
It's totally up to you. Right. That's the whole idea.
Yeah,
This is-
so where are we on the 16th? Is that going to work?
That, what'd you say? What did she have?
We can certainly meet in another room, but
Yeah,
we need to have
Carter.
have the support
So,
there from either you, and we need a clerk, yeah.
so what do? Yeah.
And Cody, can you tell whether we'd have a clerk available? Okay. How about 4:30 on December 16th then? Anybody
December
have any
16th. Okay.
problem with that?
4:30. That cancels the other meeting. Okay. There we go.
So would your proposed changes, Kelvin, be in the agenda packet then?
That's my goal, yep.
Okay.
I hope so. I know that would be the most useful.
Yeah, so it'd be useful to get that agenda out a little bit early as well then.
Some of them are very simple and aren't going to be a big deal.
Okay,
Others, I don't even think will get dealt with at the December meeting. I can't imagine they will.
okay.
We'll talk about it.
And if anybody else has proposed changes, can we send them to Ann?
We sent them to the.
Or Cody? Okay. Okay.
I thought we sent them to the chair, don't we?
No,
We don't send them to the chair?
no,
Proposed changes.
no, we shouldn't communicate with,
'Cause I
so
thought
it's
the
just
chairs had
either
all power.
Cody
'Cause I
or
had all power. It's third
Yeah.
person then.
We
to
take
Cody.
a pretty strict.
There's a
view of that.
danger, yeah, there's a danger of walking quorum, so we
Yeah.
can't have three of us
Right.
on any thread, so replying all those things
No,
cannot
right.
happen, yeah, so we have to send
No.
them to Cody.
okay, sounds good.
Okay,
All right.
fine with me. Being a chair was a.
So I'll move that we meet at 4:30 PM on the 16th and not in this room,
Right, it's not like that.
and we'll agendize it that way.
Right.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Doug seconded it? All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by raising your hand.
Okay,
Yeah, it's unanimous.
okay.
Do we have anything else that the board needs to talk about at this meeting? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I get to move those. I have a record of moving those.
Very active. Yeah.
I'm a very active guy.
I will second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by raising your hand. It's another unanimous vote, and we are adjourned. And we did it all before you need to move on to the next meeting, so I'm happy about that.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you all. I don't remember there being a specific proposal. Yeah. Yeah, I might send that